With us now, Mick Mulvaney, former White House acting chief of staff during the Trump administration, also head of the Office of Management and Budget. Kevin Walling, former Biden 2020 campaign surrogate. Kevin, I'm going to get just you in a second. Mick, just take off your partisan hat for a second. I know that's hard, but I'm going to ask you to. You're a fair-minded guy. Fact check for me. They had to spend this money to build the wall. If they spent it, they had to build the wall with it. But was there anything requiring them to actually spend the money, or could they just kept it in their pocket and done EPA studies?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. Here's how it works. The money has to be spent, okay? If you don't spend the money, if a president doesn't spend the money that Congress appropriates, that's called an impoundment, and it's against the law. And it's been against law since Watergate because Nixon tried to do that a couple of different times. So what they've been trying to do is spend it on other things. They should have been easily able to spend this on other things. Keep in mind, it's a Democrat Congress that passed this spending bill a couple years ago that they're building this, using to build this wall. So the flexibility should have been there to spend this money someplace else. The problem they've got right now, Leland, is essentially he's saying, look, I'm going to spend the money on something that I know doesn't work. That by itself is a soundbite in the next presidential election. So I think you're right, but just take credit for it. Say, look, they told me I had to build a wall. I'll build the wall. We'll try it. It'll help, maybe, and then move on to the next topic. I think they picked the worst of both worlds here by saying they need it and they don't need it at the same time.
Kevin, I just feel as though this was a completely missed opportunity.
Well, in many circles it is, especially in Republican circles. And I think, you know, to mix...
I'm not talking about Republicans. I'm talking about just moderates who just want something done about the border. You say, hey, look, what Mike said, hey, we're going to try it.
Yeah, well, and again, it's also frustration in inner cities. And we've talked about this before in terms of J.B. Pritzker, others expressing really serious concerns about what's happening at the border. And I think it's a realization, as I've been saying for a long time, that we're at a crisis point and that sometimes physical barriers work. Oftentimes it doesn't. I've been on other shows with Mick on News Nation where we've talked about, you know, need for more technology at the border. Sometimes that wall, and you're playing this imagery right now,
if somebody
doesn't
climbing
necessarily
over the wall.
work.
I know, fair enough.
You know, it's and the steel girders have been cut over thousands of times by smugglers bringing fentanyl people through that border.
All fair points, and you need lots of different things. Although I've spent a lot of time at the border, and I can tell you from watching this video, you have one or two people coming over the wall. You don't have thousands coming across. Again, why not take the win? Why not go what you just said? Hey, look, lots of different ways to skin this cat. We're going to try building the wall. The money's there. We might as well do it. And look, if it doesn't work, then you've got your perfect talking point that we've spent Republicans' money and it didn't work. Why not take the win?
Well, because I think also, too, there's politics at play here, Leland, right? We're heading into an election year. Core bases of the president's support are environmentalists, immigration groups, folks that advocate for more migration, for more safe migration, for more immigration. And I think that's also at play here, where, you know, the president is in a tough spot. You have the optics of these cities being overrun by these migrants, a need for Congress to obviously do something here as well in terms of the ability for the administration act. He sent the Attorney General, he sent his Secretary of State and his DHS Secretary in Mexico right now working for more solutions on that front. He's got Venezuela finally now able to accept migrants being sent back to the country, which is also a big deal, too.
All right. This was President Biden being asked if walls work, which seems to be a pretty obvious question. Take a listen.
Do you believe the border wall works?
No.
You know, Mick, in any other time, this would be an enormous story, right? I can't help but think about Republicans. Never underestimate their ability to screw things up. You can't capitalize on this because all anybody's covering is whether Donald Trump's going to run for Speaker of the House.
And you're not wrong about that. Look, I wish this was your lead story, but it wasn't, because it's not the biggest story in Washington, D.C. right now. The biggest story right now is that Kevin McCarthy's been deposed. There's no speaker, and Donald Trump is coming next week and may be running for speaker, according to folks I've talked to. That's right. This should be the best story. But there's a simple message here for the Democrats, which is that's not that line that President Biden just used is just not defensible. Walls do work. Are they perfect? Do they do everything? No, but they do work. And I think I hear what you folks are saying. I hear what the Democrats are saying. They have to appease their left-wing base. And I get that. Believe me, I understand appealing to your base. I ran for office 4 times. But at the end of the day, you also have to be able to speak to folks down the middle. And what the president just said in that clip, that walls don't work, doesn't make sense to ordinary people who switch back and forth between voting for Republicans and Democrats. And this is going to be, if the Republicans can get out of their own way, this is going to be a big issue going into the next election cycle.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.